I get a call from Dre, and he's like, "Yo, that beat that you gave me, um, for my album." He's like, Jay-Z just wrote to it, and he wants to keep it for his album. Dre was like, "Yo, I need the sample information because I need to, because they're asking me for it." And I'm like, "Dre, that's not a sample." And he's like, "No, dude." He's like, "No, for real. Like, I don't want you to get sued, whatever." I'm like, "Dre, that's not a sample." He's like, "For real?" I'm like, "It's not." I'm like, "That's my boy Dante and his wife Mashika. Like, they made that sample and sent it to me." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Yo," he told me, he's like, "You put your foot in that." He's like, "That's incredible." At that point he looked at me completely different. Like, he was like, "Okay, this dude's on something," because no one was doing that at that time. No one was like, giving him stuff that sounded like a sample from the 70s or whatever, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And Dante and Mashika, shout out to them. That's like my family. He was one of the first people that I collaborated with that was just like making stuff and sending it to me. Like, and I tell him like, "Yo, I need some soulful gospel, whatever." And he would just send me stuff. And he and Warren Campbell, shout out to Warren Campbell, they would make samples together.
Now I want to go back to Dante, right? So
Yep.
did they record that purposely so they could send it to you, or were they in the process of creating their own song and they just thought, oh, let's just send this to him?
No, he would I just told him, I was like, "Dude, I need samples," like, and he primarily a trumpet player. He still works for Dre to this day. He would just make stuff for me. Like, that was the goal. It was like, "Dude, I need send me stuff." As soon as he sent me one that was incredible, I was like, "Yo, I need like 50 of these." You know what I mean? I didn't know of any other producers that had like somebody like him that was like
Mm.
feeding him stuff. And then we were making samples at the same time. So
The sample that's in the song, I'm just curious. So what they sent you, how long was it? Was it like a full song and then you just
no,
picked the parts?
there's other sections. Like, he'll do like maybe an A and B section, a breakdown. So it's like it's a full composition, but it's not like, it may be like a minute and 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it's like, he gives me enough parts to be like, "Okay, this is the main rap part. This is the breakdown." I always wanted a breakdown or something in the beat. So yeah.
Now, of course, when you're clearing a sample, there's two things. You got to clear the master, you got to clear the
Hmm.
publishing. Now, in this sort of situation, I'm assuming it's just a case of course, because um, Dante is obviously the creator of the sample, so of course you got so you guys gonna have to share publishing, right? But I'm assuming there's no master clearance to clear because it's not an official record.
No, no. I mean, we did. We no. We yeah. We just dealt with publishing. Some people will put out their samples, like Frank Dukes or people
Mm.
like that will put their stuff out, and then they'll get a master use fee. But I wasn't doing that at the time. It was just like, I make the beat. We never put it out, and it wasn't like there were a lot of outlets back then to put it out.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I mean, we could have done that, but I just wasn't thinking that way. But yeah, but to answer your question, there was no master use. It was just all publishing. And me and Dante already had an agreement worked out. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, before I made any beats with this stuff, we'd already said, "Okay, this is what you're gonna get. This is what I'm gonna get," and we still stick to that to this day. Like, it's just like one simple conversation, and that's like how I like to do it with like most of my musicians. It's like, let's just get that out the way now. That song to me is like, people still say, "Mom, I made it." You know what I mean? Like, you hear basketball players say it, whatever. It's become like this kind of like expression, like, like, I made it. I achieved my dream. I've worked my butt off to get to this point, and like, and and when my mom heard it, she's a huge Jay-Z fan, so
Mm.
it meant a lot to me. Just to it was like me telling my mom that I made it in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, look who I'm working with, mom. Like, Dr. Dre gave that to Jay-Z. It's like, that's storybook. Like, when does that happen? You know what I'm saying?
Mm. It's interesting that you said, oh, it was like the moment to say to your mom, look, mom, I made it. Because the question
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what is your mama I made it moment? But I'm guessing would this be the song?
There's too many of them. I feel like it's there's too many. It's like
What's the main one?
I'll say I took my mom to the Grammys. I took my mom.
Hey, that's how you
I
do it.
took yeah. I took my mom to the Grammys. That's the biggest one. I took my mom to the Grammys when Recovery was up for Album of the Year, and I sat next to Just Blaze and his mom, which was incredible. That's like
Wow.
so I'm sitting next to Jay-Z. I mean, Just Blaze is one of my heroes. You know what I mean? Like I patterned a lot of my stuff behind what he does, but like to for him to bring his mom, and I'm there with my mom. We were both just talking about that and like where you know what I mean, where we started, and it was just like it was such a great moment and a bonding moment for me and him, because I just looked up to him. He was already a pro at that point, and I felt like I was just now becoming that. So that was to me that was kind of like the stamp of approval